let me know yet. I'm about to check.
If you're not, then I would just say uninstall the mouse driver and then reboot and see what happens. Because typically what ends up happening is Windows will find the safest driver that you can use and it'll auto install that, and then that might be able to. And then sometimes drivers just install incorrectly, just period. And so it could be reinstalled the same exact driver that you were using, but it just installs correctly. You don't have a problem.
If I disable the mouse, I'm sorry, not disabled. If I uninstall the mouse driver, is it gonna make it so I can't use it? So how does that work?
Usually it will go back to a earlier driver, if I recall correctly, but if not, you can just use your keyboard to re-enable it. Sorry, you don't want to disable your mouse driver, you want to uninstall it. That's what you want to do. What's up, Forte?
What's up, man? Oh, it sounds like everybody's super messed up, eh?
Sick podcast.
Oh, no. Yeah. I probably can't stay the entire time my mom is in town because of my nephew's birthday. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I just wasn't sure. Since I'm still on my phone right now. And we'll probably just do a short show tomorrow. We're not live yet. I did want to say this. Listen, if I was what's his name? Dreamcast guy, I would not have apologized.
What happened?
You guys muted? Still on? Okay, cool. So look, Dreamcast. But
That's very mellow. No, I'm just saying it's very mellow. I know. I used to listen to that music when I would do editing.
you're right.
No. Yo, what is up, guys? It is your boy Forte, and we are here with another episode of Damage Per Second Podcast. I believe episode 181. I believe 181. Slum
183. 183.
183. Oh man, I'm in the past. Feels like it's been a long journey. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the people that came. Shout out to the people that's going to listen later on. We got a lot of stuff we talking about. We're going to be talking about PlayStation exclusives coming over to Xbox. Talk about how the PSVR 2 does not work as intended when it comes to say again.
You said PlayStation exclusives coming to Xbox?
Yeah. You don't read your own things that you send me?
PlayStation exclusives coming to Xbox? Really?
Xbox. There is a PlayStation exclusive that was on PlayStation.
You're right. Yes. Jesus okay, Christ. Continue.
Jesus Christ.
It's that kind of show, man. This is going to be that kind of show
already, man. Talking about that PSVR 2 features don't work across PC and PlayStation the same exact way. Dragon Age has a brand new name. I have the perfect panel for that because I know what they really feel about this. And a lot of other things. Xbox is going to be on the back end of where we talk about our predictions and the one thing that I hope never happens, but could possibly happen when it comes to Halo. But with that being said, I definitely want to introduce my co-host, the man, the legend, the man that still hasn't made a video in a while he's saying he is. Slow-mo back, what's up, bro? How you been?
Man, I ain't. There's an echo, Forte.
There's an echo? Why is there an echo?
They say you're echoing.
I'm echoing. I can't echo.
Apparently you can. I don't know.
I guess I was echoing.
Well, I'm good. I have been up since about 4 a.m, so I'm a little tired. I got a Red Bull, but it might not be enough. So, bear with me. But it's been good. I've been good. I've been playing games. Well, I guess what we can talk about the games I've been playing in a little bit. I did want to introduce our guest who has been here more than once. All right. The amazing Ash and Luca. What's up, Luca?
She takes showers in her spare bathroom all the time.
Oh, I don't.
Huh?
What?
This is the randomest beginning of a show ever. What are you talking about, Forte?
You said that she's been on the show more than. Never mind. Just go ahead. Just go with it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
You know what? Y'all are so on edge today. Good God.
How?
Go ahead.
I don't.
Everybody's on edge today.
Okay, so.
Just didn't get it. Didn't get the joke.
So Luca here.
basically.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invite. Sorry if my audio sounds weird. I'm not on my computer. I'm having computer issues. So. Apologies to the
That
chat.
is a theme of today because we also we're supposed to have another guest who also is having computer issues, and so everybody's got computer issues right now. I don't know. It's good old Windows failing us over and over and over again. But no, Luca, glad to have you. Even and your mic sounds fine to me at this point. I don't know what you're using, but it's not bad. Of course it's not your podcast mic, but it's not terrible, so that's good. Games played. I have been so it's been kind of weird. I've been playing some games that I played and already beat before, and I've been playing some games that aren't quite out yet. I've been playing some of the little, indie things that people said was really good. So to go back to the game that I played a while ago, Kingdom Bridge of Spirits, which is something that we're going to talk about a little bit later, that I reinstalled and started playing that, and I haven't played that since I've had my new GPU. And oh man, it looks fantastic, plays fantastic, 4K, triple digit frame rate. It's awesome. I've also been playing Dave the Diver. Have you guys heard of that game, Dave the Diver?
Yeah, I've heard of it. One of my friends
Yeah.
plays it.
Yeah. It was, I think last year it was nominated for a lot of awards. It was the one game that
It was like the most.
it looks indie.
Yeah.
It looks indie, but it's not really indie because it's kind of published by a big Korean publisher. But everyone speaks so highly of it, and so far it's okay. It's just okay. It's like I'm not uninstalling it, but it's all right. It hasn't hooked me yet, but it's cool. It's cool.
Oh, you trying to say that art style ain't got you yet, huh?
Well, I don't mind pixel art.
Yeah, pixel art is awesome.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's just that it is. I mean, it's about a guy named Dave the Diver.
It's about him.
I mean, he dives. It's like, here's the gameplay loop. In the morning and afternoons, you dive for fish and other random things. And it's got a little bit of an interesting story, a little bit of a mystery going on there. But you dive for stuff. People ask you to go get things. And then at night, it turns into like a restaurant simulator where you're like the fish that you caught when you were diving. You're then got a chef that's cooking them. And then you're like, gotta go through serving it to guests at a restaurant and making sure you're giving them the drinks they want and giving the right dish to the right people. And I get it. I get why people like it, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm not in the mood for this kind of game. Not that it's bad, but it's just not really what I want to play right now. So I'm gonna keep it installed. But it's not a bad game or anything. And Hades 2 in early access is fantastic. I did it on stream earlier this week, and I almost beat the third biome boss. I still have not beat the third biome boss yet. So I'm enjoying it. It does some things that are way better than the first game, and some things that quite aren't as good as the first game. But it's still in early access, so it can always improve. But that's what I've been doing, man. What about you?
What have I been doing? You already know what I've been doing all week. Nothing but one thing. Play Destiny. I took off 4 days in a row. It actually kind of lets me know that I need to take those days off too, because normally I would take vacations earlier in the year and I haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I took off 4 days in a row for this so I can, be ready for the raid on Friday. And when I haven't, if I haven't had obligations like picking kids up from school or running to go get something for my wife or my kids or playing the game, I've been asleep. Like, I slept today. I probably slept more time today than it was actually being up doing anything today. Like, I literally woke up I woke up this morning playing the game, went back to sleep after I picked my kid up from school around 4:30. And then I didn't wake up again until 7:30. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, But I ain't gonna lie though, I really needed it because I've been on top of staying up real late, you know, and I haven't been doing that as of late a lot. But also messing around with my PC because for some strange reason, like you know, like you said, today is the day for everybody to have issues with PC. Every time I boot my games up, I was running at like it was like limited to me at 30 frames per second or lower. Like I was sitting there like, why is my game running at 30 frames per second? Or 22 frames per second. I'm like, it's just super weird. I would restart the game.
Bad driver.
Oh yeah, they came out with a new driver today, but you would think that new driver wouldn't be for this. It's like I'm sitting there like, what's really going on? So I just went ahead and after doing a lot of troubleshooting, seeing if anybody was having the same issues, I just went ahead and did uninstalled all my graphics drivers, reinstalled everything again.
Did you use DDU?
Yes, I did.
Yep, that's the best way to go.
Yep.
Look, hey,
DDU for the win.
If you are a PC noob and you don't know, like, just don't uninstall drivers. When it comes to GPUs, you get I call it DDU, but let me see what the official name
it's
of
called
it is.
Display driver
display driver
utility.
uninstaller. Yeah.
Uninstaller.
Yeah, and it's free. It's a free program and it's freaking awesome. You just open it up, say I got NVIDIA GPU, and then they ask you how do you want to do this. It's especially good if you're installing a brand new GPU or a different GPU than the one that you currently have, so that you don't have any issues with like any kind of lingering anything from the previous driver still being there when you put in the new GPU and the new driver. You just you say uninstall driver and then shut down, so that kind of prep the PC for you to put the new driver in, or just uninstall it and reinstart your PC so that you can start fresh with some new drivers. Because what will happen sometimes is that you'll install a driver and it won't install correctly. Thanks, Windows. And you gotta, and you'll notice like performance isn't right. You'll notice some things aren't working correctly. And a lot of times, to save yourself the headache, just go ahead and uninstall your driver and reinstall it, just in case, so that because a lot of times that ends up being the main culprit of why something's not working right, especially if there was a new update. So
yeah, so I did that, and then I also went back into Hellblade 2 and did the first set of runes and stuff that I missed when it comes to trying to get this.
You did New Game Plus?
Say again?
You did New Game Plus?
Heck no. Not yet, at least. I want to do New Game Plus after I get up, because I don't want to do New Game Plus and try to get all the collectibles in the same run. I'm just trying to get the collectibles first, and then I'm gonna do a New Game Plus run after the fact, because I don't want to feel like, since the game is going to be a little bit more amped, I'm like, I ain't trying to look for stuff when it's going to be amped. So
here in New Game Plus you can
first and did do the New Game Plus.
Yeah, here in New Game Plus you can change the narrator.
Yes,
you can have other characters that are in the game be the narrator of the story, which
I know
might
some
provide.
people just beat it like I think some people that beat it 3 times, and they listen to all, there was the 3 different narrators they listened to, and that's really, really cool. It gives you a different perspective.
Add some replay value. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, and guess what? The game deserves it, because it was truly, it was remarkable. I love what they did with it. Could have did more, but I am pleased with what they did. But with that, other than that, that's kind of been it for me. Nothing else strenuous or anything. I haven't been. I don't even think I played any like. When the last time I played Battlefield? It's been a while. It's like, Jesus, I feel like that's like waste of the last $15 I spent this generation so far.
Oh, because you bought the Battle Pass and you barely played it.
Yeah, I bought the Battle Pass. I think I'm like ranked. I think I'm like 45 on the season pass. The only thing that's going to be cool is they're not doing any more content for the game. No more content updates. So this season pass is going to persist until the next game comes out. So whenever I go in there to get the stuff, I'm going to get the stuff. But you kind of wonder, like, okay, what I hope some of these studios start doing when it comes to like having these iterations, like pretty much how Call of Duty does it. Because Call of Duty has Call of Duty HQ, and no matter what Call of Duty you have, your stuff pretty much persists to the next game. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with Black Ops because it's not Modern Warfare, like how Modern Warfare's guns and stuff went forward from 2 to 3. I don't know if they're going to do that when it comes to Black Ops. I would kind of hope at least the skins do. Yeah, that would be really, really cool if they had something persistent like that across multiple games. But that's what I kind of want Battlefield to
I
do.
don't
It's
think
like
it
all of this money
will.
you spent, I kind of want them to allow you to take some of the stuff with you.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
I
With
don't
Black
either,
Ops.
but you know, it's always
Let's see.
a hope and a dream. But with
But you know,
that,
you mentioning that reminded me, and this is it just shows how tired I am because I did this today, and so
what you
because I
do?
was up, I had already reinstalled the Division 2 a few months ago, and just hadn't really jumped back into it. The latest season is about the end, but I remembered that the final access to the final part of this chapter in the story was
Right.
available with Agent Kelso, who went missing. And so I went and just literally just binged the entire thing. It wasn't that long. It probably took me about 4 or 5 hours. Now that it's all unlocked. And you know how I hate like how developers time gate content. Like they'll, hey, do this and then wait, you know, for X amount of time. And it's just like you're just trying to stretch out really like not a lot of content. And it's something that now that Ubisoft has canceled the Division Heartland, I hope that they will have now the resources available to actually give the Division 2 some real content while they're developing Division 3, because frankly, it's kind of boring, man. It's just like I enjoy this manhunt with Agent Kelso, and it's got a nice little cliffhanger ending for, you know, people out there who play a Division. You definitely want to play this one so you're not lost in the future when they do, because they are working on a big thing, but I don't think it's going to be out until next year. But like it more than likely will have a lot to do with what happened at the end of this manhunt. But it was just, I mean, for a full season of content to really just be 5 hours from beginning to end, it's kind of disappointing. Other than that, that's been about it. Luca, have you been playing anything?
Yeah, I've been playing Elden Ring to prep for
Nice.
the DLC coming out, and
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much it. That's the only thing I've been playing.
You know what we gotta try, Luca? We have to do this. It can happen after Shadow of the Erdtree comes out, but we gotta play on PC with the what is it called? Persistent co-op, or is it something like that? Continuous co-op. There's a
Seamless.
mod.
Seamless
Seamless.
co-op.
There we go. There's a mod on PC that allows you to just like co-op with a friend without them ever like having to go away due to like you beating the boss, and it also allows you to go between different areas without being stuck in just one area where you haven't beat the boss yet. And for those who might be like, man, that's weak sauce or whatever, hey, both of us have platinumed Elden Ring already. So at this point, it's just playing, you know, the game together and having fun for the fun of it. So that's what that is. Chill out.
I just bought it on PC with the DLC and everything.
Oh, nice.
Word? Really? Yeah,
I have it on Xbox already, but it was like I just never got into it. I actually never just even tried to boot it up and play it, but I told myself I was going to do it when the DLC came out, and Green Man had it on sale for like 20% off with the DLC. So I was like, yep, I'll buy it right now. I think
Yeah,
it was like $55 instead of $79.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's a good starting point, I would say, for new Souls players. I think does a really good job getting people into it, especially because I had people who've tried the other FromSoft games and just hated them, play Elden Ring and like beat it before me. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
always say
I bought.
one thing about gamers is once they get a
Go
hold
ahead.
of something and it really gets their attention, man, they'll play until the wee hours in the morning to get something done.
yeah.
Yeah,
You want to say Slow-Mo?
Yeah, I bought the DLC on PlayStation because that's where I have all four of the characters I made to beat the game with. I am going to eventually play through it all on PC. I just I with all the four characters I have that have one of them had did like I beat all the bosses, major bosses with that one. That's the one I mostly got the platinum with. The other ones I just really just used to get there because the platinum kind of or to 100% it, you have to beat you have to get like different endings. Like there's like two other endings you have to get. Or maybe it's three. Actually, it's three other endings you have to get. Right? Look at hold on. There's
Yeah, there's, the regular ending, and then there's the Flame of
the
Frenzy, and
Ronnie
then there's
ending,
the Ronnie
Flame,
ending.
and isn't the Golden Order an ending too?
Yeah, so, like, the
Yeah,
regular
okay.
ending, the ending with Ronnie, and then the Flame of Frenzy.
Okay. Yeah. So I did those and then I have a fourth character where I was just experimenting with different builds with and I beat it with that one too. So I just figured, you know what, just continue it on the platform where I already did all that progress with. But like I was saying to Luca before, I've played around on PC a little bit. Like I'm at to the point where I'm at the Forte, you wouldn't know what I mean by this, but Luca would. The academy, the is it the Lernia Academy?
The
Where
Academy
you
of Rey Lucaria?
that's it. That's it. Yeah. That's where I'm at. So I'm not that far, but I haven't really been trying to play it like that on PC. So yeah. But after I get my fill of the DLC on PlayStation, I'll be on PC messing around there eventually. So
Yeah, me
yeah.
too.
Well,
Y'all
what?
ready to
Well,
do
since
this, man?
well, I was gonna say, well, since we're already talking about that, because it's the second topic anyway, so I could just move them around.
Mm-hmm.
Flexibility here. Um, Previews and details came out. A lot of people got a chance to play. I believe it was 3 hours worth of the game. A lot of publications came out and talked about their experiences during that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what was your so looking at some? I mean, I don't know. Some people look at those things. Some people just want to wait until it comes out. So I don't know where you guys stand on that. But what if you did look at them? What was some of your thoughts and takeaways from where a lot of people's interests are when it comes to looking at this DLC when it comes out?
Well, let me. I guess me since this is definitely me and Luca's topic. Let me go over some of the details, and then Luca, you and I can kind of discuss. There's so this is details that were I guess summarized from Shinobi on Twitter, but he says stepping out into the new realm of Shadow area feels like the first time you enter Limgrave. It feels expansive and dense with content. And then it says the ulterior goal is following Mikola's crossing as the main critical story path. So, Luca, you and I, the last time we talked about this, we were discussing like where the story would go and like who the big bad would be and all that good stuff. What are your thoughts about like this seems the main part of the plot of the story is following Mikola through the Shadow Realm?
Yeah, I think it's pretty par the course when it comes to FromSoft DLC. I've played through the Old Hunters DLC in Artorias of the Abyss, and there are similar elements there in which you are stepping into a realm in which you learn several new things about the world and it expands upon the lore and things that you once believed and once thought. Your ideas tend to change based on information that's introduced in the DLC, and it all contextualizes everything. So I think that makes sense that we're going to be following Mikola, especially since Mikola I think is um, one of the characters that has not been
Explored.
explored as much as the other Empyreans in comparison. And we've heard and learned different things about Mikola, especially this concept of him being able to compel affection, and he has his followers who are also willing to I don't know, I guess willing to trust in him and believe in him despite the fact that he is America's child. And America, from what I could glean from, I mean, in general, America's not a good person, but like from what we can
Right.
glean from the DLC and where the story is going to take us and some elements of the past, America really messed that world up. Just really messed that world up. There's some ideas of her betraying the world, and I'm very curious to see where it all takes us and what new lore and information we'll get in the DLC. I saw some of the different aspects of the gameplay. I like the claws. It reminds me of the beast claws from Bloodborne. So that seems
Hmm.
like it'll be a fun part of the game. And then also the hand-to-hand uh, combat that is, reminds me of Sekiro, some elements from Sekiro in terms of the kicks. So I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to exploring the different combat elements, and mostly I'm just curious about the story. I really am. I want to see the new designs for the bosses because FromSoft always does a really good job in terms of boss design and lore.
Yeah.
And yeah,
About um, real quick, I have a theory about Mikola, and I kind of feel like, well, it's not necessarily about him in general, but I kind of feel like I just get this feeling that, you know how there's sometimes you will see a expansion to a game or DLC or even a sequel to a movie, and there will be information that you thought was that you were told was true, but then you find out later on it was kind of like not all that it you thought it was, or it was like a misconception, or it just wasn't true at all. I just kind of feel like that might be a something that might be revealed in this DLC, that we'll see that things that we believed in the original game weren't quite the way we thought they were. But just that's just
yeah,
my
that's what I said, as well. It's that, From Software typically, they expand upon the story and certain things and elements that were in the original game that we once believed. It just changes our perception of everything based off the new information that's presented.
they're saying there are going to be over 10 full bosses in the game with additional side bosses. Uh, can't wait to get into that.
That's gonna
Over
be that's what's up.
100, right? Over 100 new weapons to find and 8 new weapon types. Weapon types. There's the heavy script. Good grief, I cannot talk today. Heavy Smith script axe is a new weapon that can be thrown with any cost or resource attached, making it an effective choice. The backhand blade. This is the one I want to use first. The backhand blade, which can be split into dual wielded swords to stab enemies in their sides. And as Luca, you mentioned before, the hand to hand combat, the martial arts is a new weapon type that lets you go barehanded with heavy punches and swinging kicks, which can also be assigned as a skill. Leaping through the air and dishing out a flurry of kicks is one example. Um, the martial arts skill. So usually, okay. So this is what my question is about that, because the way you build your character, if you have a particular weapon, you want to make sure that that weapon, that you have the actual build, the right skills in the right places so that you can fully utilize that weapon. Like, you don't want to have like the blasphemous blade and you don't have like the necessary, I think it's arcane, I think you need for
For
that.
bat Oh, you need faith.
Faith. Okay. So you don't want to have like, I'm using the blasphemous blade and I don't have a good level of faith to be actually using that. Like, that's just not good. So I wonder if the martial arts, is that going to be strength based? I feel like I'm leaning towards it should be strength based instead of dexterity. But I don't know. What do you think, Luca?
Yeah, it might be a mix of both where you have to have a split. I think they'll probably give us several larval tiers. throughout the course of the DLC to try out the new weapon types.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
yeah, I can see that.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
very curious about I'm very curious about what the stat requirements will be for some of the other weapons, and 'cause, I mean, what build are you going into the DLC with?
I'm gonna start with my strength character first. I'm gonna start with him first, and I want to kind of change my build for all of them. So I'm kind of gonna be like, kind of like playing around. But I think the backhand blade, when I get that, I want to try to build around that because just the idea of it, and from what I saw from the very few seconds clips of it actually in use, I really like how that sounds. So that's the one I'm going to use first. What about you?
Yeah, currently my character is just on a strength and intelligence build, but I really like Faith as well, so I might switch back over to Faith. It really depends on what kind of style I want to go into the DLC with. I very
Hmm.
much am the only reason I'm even on a magic build right now is because I beat the game and I'm just messing around with it. But
Right.
I'm typically like my main go-to is like strength. So I might switch I might at least switch over to faith so I could use because I really like the blasphemous blade. The blasphemous blade, and I also like Malekith's black blade as well. So being able to use that is ideal. So yeah, I'm gonna go into it with my intelligence build, and if I am finding that I am preferring to be up close and personal, then I'll switch over to faith.
So I got two more questions for you, and then I guess we can move on. There's this new optional system in there called the Shadow Realm Blessing, and so it says that this optional system uses consumables called the Scatlu tree fragments and applies a stackable buff that negates some incoming damage and increases the damage you cause to opponents. Do you kind of feel like that might be, I don't know, like something that people will complain about, like that would be the new mimic tier? You know what I mean? Where it's like people were just like, oh, you're cheesing if you're using a mimic tier or any of the I forgot what they call them, to help you in boss fights and stuff like that. Do you think like that would be like the new thing? People are like, oh, you're using the blessing instead of just fighting them straight up.
Yeah, I think I'd have to see more of what exactly it does in action.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it could be something. I mean, it could be completely innocuous, where it's like okay, this is here, but it's not anything that's revolutionary, or it could be a major thing. So I'm not sure yet. We'll have to we'll have to see. But I don't really take those hardcore Souls people seriously because it's like
Mhm.
at the end of the day,
They
just
be
play the
doing a
game
little
however.
much,
Yeah, I
right?
think that, and I'm saying this as someone like I got the platinum for Demon Souls remake, platinum for Bloodborne, platinum for Elden Ring. I beat Sekiro 4 times, beat Dark Souls twice, beat Dark Souls 2. Like, I'm a big fan of these games. I play them, but I just think that the Souls community is there's two sides of it. There's a side where it's like they're completely insufferable and they'll be extremely annoying about how you decide to play the game. They act like
Right.
they went into the game as let me solo her, like from the jump. You know what I'm saying? They act
Right,
like they
Right.
right.
have that skill set from the very beginning, and then they're very annoying when like new players are trying to get into it. They're very like they're off-putting. They make it so, in my opinion, I feel like they're so obnoxious that it makes it so people who are kind of nervous about playing these kinds of games, it puts them off, right? But and then there's the
Yeah,
other
it's
side of the
already
coin.
off-putting as it is because of the
Yeah.
games, how difficult they are, and then they kind of make it worse. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the other side of the player base where they're just really helpful and, like, just great, like, there's this guy, his name's Sin Vendetta, and, he was just so friendly, and, shout out to him. He was super friendly, super willing to help. He would, um he gifted me the DLC for Dark Souls 3 on Xbox, because I already had it on PlayStation, and then he gifted me Sekiro, and he was always just so willing to, like, just jump in and, like, play with us, and by us, I mean me and Mooch, you know what I'm saying? So, like, there's people like that who are just like, "Hey, I like that you're into these games. I want you to be into them more. Like we're a community. We should be helping each other." And that's kind of the approach that I like to take where I tell people like, I think anybody can beat these games because the reason I even got into them is because I watched someone play, and as I was watching him play, I was like, "Man, this guy's a bum." But like he's getting through it. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
think anybody can get through it. It takes patience. So
Perseverance.
I don't think that you're some kind of like a gaming god if you beat these games or anything like that. Unless you're doing like those challenge runs where it takes a lot of time and patience. And I'm like, I'm not doing any of that personally. I have nothing but respect for the people who do things like that because it's not going to be me. Right. But yeah,
Right.
I just, I'm looking forward to the DLC. I love that Elden Ring has brought so many new people into the From Software umbrella and just have them realize like, hey, these games are special, you know? And uh, they really taught me that the key is to not give up because especially in Dark Souls 1, you know, the NPCs that went hollow, basically, they're people who just they're undead that gave up. You know what I'm saying? Like they just stopped fighting, they stopped persevering, right? And
Hmm.
so it's like that's why when you beat a boss in Dark Souls, it's victory achieved because you are accomplishing something like major. You've overcome the obstacle here. And Elden Ring is so open where it allows you to explore, and there's when you explore, it rewards you with different things, and it's like it's telling you like there is a straight path where it's like you just Margit, and then um you can do um,
There was a
Renala
guy
or
in
Radahn,
between Margaret. What's the guy with the dragon on his hand?
Godfrey.
Godfrey. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
or not
Renala. Then
Godfrey,
yeah,
Godric.
Godric. Yeah. So many of the names are so similar, but it's good to hear you be so positive, Luca. Because I remember my first experience with a Souls game. You was, I'm not saying you was mean to me, but like you
Oh
was
my
yelling at
god.
me, and I was
Yes,
just
and
like,
I think you
wow.
deserve to get yelled at. Imma keep it real with you. You were not paying attention at all. And, like, the
I
main
mean,
thing I had said was like, "Hey, man, you gotta pay attention or you're gonna make some mistakes that are gonna end up affecting, like, your playthrough." And what did you do? You sold the freaking bow, man. So, yeah. Yeah, if I gotta repeat myself 6 times and say, "Pay
well,
attention," and you don't
it's
pay
a little more
attention.
than that. It was a little more like look. So Forte, I'm just walking around, and I go into this room, and look, you would have did the same thing. There was this guy sitting on like a box,
uh,
and he's got like the freakiest looking face, and I
right.
thought he was going to attack me, so I hit
Yeah.
him. And then so I'm like wailing on this dude, and then I see my chats like slow mo, no, 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 no. And then Luke comes in, she's like, "What are you doing? Like what?" And it turned out the guy was a vendor. I didn't know, and it was it
It
was a
wasn't
learning
like he
experience.
attacked you though.
Okay, so he didn't attack me. That said, the way he looked at me, I
He
wasn't
wasn't
gonna
even
wait.
moving towards you.
I wasn't. It's not the point. I wasn't
It
gonna
is the
wait for
point.
him. You know what? We just gonna move on. We just gonna move
No,
on.
no, no,
Just
no, no. I get what you no, no. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying because you're in a game like this is you're in a game where
You're
you
doing your
really
best
don't
to
know how.
save him, you know?
Yeah. You're in the type of game where you like this is your first time through it. You don't know what to expect. That person could have just been laying in wait like how the what's the names are in Dead Space and they're laying on the ground.
But
It
no,
could be dead bodies, but you
that
couldn't
happens
shoot
in
them.
Souls games all the time. You
Yeah,
walk
I
into
know.
a room,
Yeah.
it's a dude hiding in the corner, just waiting the club punch you, just
Yeah,
ready
but I
to
think
just
most of
sneak
the
hit
time
you in the side of the
people
head.
I think most of the time though, people wait for that to happen the first time to realize if that's a thing. And then once they see it, they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention for that to happen next time. Whereas it's like if a guy's just sitting there looking at you,
Yeah,
like,
if you can't lock on to somebody, that means they're not an enemy.
yeah, they're not an
So
enemy.
I
Yeah.
know that now, but it's
oh,
just
okay.
like for forever now. Like whenever in any Souls game, there's a vendor somewhere. There's like, hey, slow
So
mo.
what
There's a
happened? Did he
vendor.
like lose the
So
ability to do something since he attacked them?
yeah, I had to kill him.
Oh my god.
Because he wouldn't stop attacking me. Because I
Yeah.
attacked. I mean, clearly I attacked him. So then he just kept attacking me. I'm just like, hey, look, bro, I'm not trying to attack you no more. My bad. He just kept coming at me. So I had to kill him.
Holy
Kill or be killed.
Yeah. But the one vendor I don't mind killing is that dude at and after you beat the first boss in Elden Ring, there's this guy when you go into the castle, and this dude is like, people don't realize this, but this guy is trying to get you killed so he can take your stuff.
Mhm.
And so at one point you have to go into a room to get a key, and you go into this room and he locks the door on you and then laughs as you have to fight this big knight to get out. And he's just doing little things all throughout the castle trying to set you up. And so in my other playthroughs, as soon as I ran into him, I just killed him. And then I took his little bell, because that's like how he sells things or whatever, and I just gave it to the little weird looking twins in in the tarnish home base, and I didn't lose anything. So yeah, you know.
That's funny.
And anyway, my last question about this is about, so last year we saw like Phantom Liberty came out. Here's this like awesome expansion to Cyberpunk, and all the games meet to try to pretend like it was like its own standalone game, and it's not. Even though I love Phantom Liberty, freaking love it, but like it is like, we saw games media trying to insert Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty into every award outside of just ongoing game. Like if it would have been just something for best DLC ever or best ongoing game, I would have had no, not even ongoing game, but just something that where it should have been more appropriate. But they were trying to put it into literally every other category but that. I kind of feel like Shadow of the Erdtree might get the same treatment, even though like be treated as almost as if it's a standalone game or a brand new game that came out this year, even though it's just a DLC on an older game. Luca, do you think that's going to be the case this year with Shadow of the Erdtree?
Yeah.
They're just going to treat it like, hey, look, and nominated again, Shadow of the Erdtree, Elden Ring. Yeah,
And
I
as
just
it
feel
should
like,
be, okay?
oh
And
god.
as it should be.
It
All
should
right?
not be. It's not a
I will
new
be right
game, but they
there,
want to
like,
treat it
yes,
like it's a new
exactly.
game, man.
Exactly. Because From Software, they deserve it. So I'm right there with those. You know, I don't agree with the people in the industry very often, but I'll be right there with them with that.
Did you agree with them last year with Phantom Liberty?
I didn't play Phantom Liberty. I didn't care. So
Well, I care. I don't want it to happen. Even I
oh,
could
okay.
freaking love. I could probably adore Shadow of the Erdtree. That might be the best experience in gaming I have this year, and I'll still be like, you don't deserve to be nominated for anything but whatever is specifically for things like DLC expansions and whatnot.
Oh,
I
okay.
kind of
You know,
disagree
we all
with
know.
that just for the point that if it's better than most things that come out that year, then you should show respect and love to that thing. Especially when it's not like a small add-on. Like I didn't have a problem. Like, I didn't have a problem with Cyberpunk being nominated in so many categories. Now, should it be Game of the Year? No, because it's not a full-fledged game. It's an add-on to a game that's from from years ago. But
Hmm.
when it comes to like other awards, like sound design, if they add new protagonists and new actors and stuff like that, or voice actors, I should say.
I don't
Uh,
mind stuff like that. Like if there's a new voice actor in Shadow of the Erdtree that's fantastic, and I'm like, yeah, go ahead and put that person in the best voice actor of the year category because this is work that they did this year and it deserves it.
right.
But it's just that when there's categories if it's up for like best RPG of the year, it's like that's where you kind of go like, okay,
I
why are
mean,
you here?
but the thing is, for it to be up for best RPG of the year, it must mean that there was a lot of light RPGs out there that year for it to be even qualified for that.
I
Like, would you
just
rather? I guess it comes back to, would you rather them give a award to a studio or to a game that doesn't even do it as well as a full fledged? And this ain't even a small DLC. We're talking a huge DLC. We're not talking about like a 2-hour expansion.
but it's still
Would you?
it's still an expansion on top of of work that's already been done. And so I just
I
personally
mean,
feel
but
like it's
that's the
unfair
same thing when it comes to like
to
part one, part two. Like, a lot of people
no,
could have said the
no,
same thing about something. Yeah, but yeah, you can, because a
no,
lot of the
no,
stuff
this
is
is a
already
whole new
there.
well, I mean, reusing same assets is one thing. Having something built off of literally the same actual game, like yeah, sometimes you reuse animations or you reuse the same rigging, sounds and whatnot, but there's a lot more work that goes into making a whole new game, whether it's a sequel or not, compared to making a DLC off of a already game that's been out for a few years now. So I just kind of feel like it just it's not, it shouldn't be in the same category as a game that has had to like do a whole lot more to be there. That's all. And give me 1 second because I feel like my kids are down here. They must need something. Okay, I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, so Luca, have they said anything about what's the overall length or size of the game compared to the original game, like the added on areas that they're adding?
I think Miyazaki says it's as big as the starting area, Lemgrave.
Oh, nice.
So,
I'm still like, I remember I also just remember when Slow-Mo used to just kill Souls games for being like, oh, they're not good. And then all of a sudden he got addicted
oh,
to
did
this
he
one.
say that?
Oh yeah, you
I
remember.
didn't
I
say
don't.
And you
that.
know what? He said
I
they're
did not say that.
overrated.
I did
Did he
say
say
that.
that?
You
I
said they're
did.
He said they're
overrated.
I, s- I,
overrated.
s- I said that it was. I said it was janky too. I
Yeah,
Oh,
said that
okay.
janky and
too.
overrated. That was his
Yeah.
word.
I
And
don't
I
think
was saying,
you can call something overrated if you don't like
that's what
play
we
it.
said. And he was like,
Yeah.
I don't have to play. He was like one of those people like BG. I
No, no,
don't
no,
have
no,
to
no, no,
play it
no, no, no.
if I
I
think
said.
it's
I
over.
said it looks that way. I didn't say it was. I said it looks that way to me because I
How
hadn't
can you
played
say
it.
something looks oh my god.
Because I have eyes.
Oh my
That's what you
god.
mean. I have eyes. I said it
But
looks
Oh,
that way.
so okay.
looks overrated.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's terrible. I think
Looks
that's why Luca was
janky.
giving you such a hard freaking time too. She was like,
No, because
this newborn
she's just
Souls
Luca.
fan.
She's just Luca. She always gives me a hard time.
She as she should have. I was like, you newborn Souls fan that all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got over 200 hours in the game, and all
Well, that
you
ain't
kept saying,
nothing.
just give it a try, Slow-Mo, give it a try.
200 hours. That's I had
I mean,
like
probably more than that, honestly.
I mean the first year when I got with the first year I probably have I think when I got the PlayStation wrap up, it said I had like 500 hours at least in that game. So it's probably much higher than that.
Right. Cool.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that
Well,
DLC comes out, what is it, June 21st?
Yes, I think so.
yeah.
What were you about to say,
Ye-
Luca? You about to say something?
I mean, we're all into different things. I'm glad that he enjoyed it, and I think that people should try games
Mhm.
sometimes if they're, like, well regarded, just to see what, folks think about them and how you would vibe with them. Like, there's plenty of games where I'm just not interested, and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm just not interested," you know?
Right,
So
right. And that's how it's supposed to be. You know, play what you're interested in, and if something comes to the platform that you're interested in, you partake in it. But with that being said, let's move over to the next topic. Let's talk about PlayStation games coming over to Xbox, and that's not even really the main topic of this. This is just kind of the it's kind of the item that started the I want to start the conversation with. So Candy British Spirits is coming over to Xbox. I think that was almost a launch game. It came out August of 2021. So that was almost 3 years ago. So 3 years finally coming over to Xbox. But the main question is around that because we already knew a lot of these games that were, second party, first, third party exclusive was going to make it to other platforms at some point. We just didn't know how long those deals were for. But with the new direction that Xbox is going in, third party games being everywhere. And like Slomo, like you always keep talking about, a lot of third party developers are just gonna just skip Xbox in general because you're actively telling your player base that you do not have to, purchase their console to enjoy their games. You could put them in other places. Do you think in the near future we're gonna see uh a future where the studios or these developers just skip Xbox due to the fact that they could just put their games on PlayStation and not worry about Xbox because they're not selling enough systems to like really make it a benefit? Or do you think PlayStation is going to still do more deals with these developers to make sure that those games only stay on those platforms for a particular amount of time? Do you think PlayStation is going to scale back knowing that Xbox isn't really pushing their own platform as much anymore? So that's kind of where I want to think about where this question is going because it's kind of interesting to see where Microsoft is now versus how developers are going to perceive them in the future when it comes to like how viable putting a game on Xbox is. So Slomo, I'll go to you first. What do you think about that?
I that's an interesting question. I don't know. I guess they're kind of in a weird place with that because with the way Xbox isn't really putting their own personal first party games on PlayStation's platform. They're not really competing the way they were before. Is it really necessary at this point? Because if you look at like how badly Xbox hardware is doing at the moment compared to PlayStation hardware, and then you look at just a lot of the deals that they already made. Is it were you getting their first party games? Do you really need to go as hard as you have on making the kind of deals that you've been making? I think they'll still push for those things regardless, but I don't think they'll be I'm not gonna say as successful because a lot of it came from like getting first party, not first party, but getting exclusive Square Enix games, and we know that
Hmm.
Square Enix isn't doing that anymore. Now, I think that like deals like Kena Bridge of Spirits, like that's very different because Kena was never a game that was supposed to go to all platforms. It
Right.
was something. Here's a brand new studio that was an animation studio before they got into gaming. They pitched their game out there. A lot of publishers and platforms said no before Sony became got into play. And so, with all that said, like yeah, like this is, and the game is still ended up coming over to Xbox just a few years later. So it was always timed exclusive to begin with, but like Sony tends to do that where they kind of like cultivate relationships with developers, and the Xbox to do that too. Like if you look at like Internight that did As Dust Falls, Moon Studio with the Ori games, and to varying degrees of like how that relationship goes from there. Like Remedy was one of those studios as well at one point. BioWare was like that, but it just always seems to end Well, not always, because then like you got Undead Labs and Playground Games that end up getting acquired, but you can see a lot of those studios with Xbox not really continuing on after 2 or 3 games. Um, I think PlayStation will continue to try to cultivate these kind of deals with talented new indie developers that could kind of punch above their weight with a game that you just wouldn't expect to be made by a studio that was their very first game. Because Kane Bridge of Spirits is a very good game, and I was pleasantly surprised that the combat was as good as it was, and I expected the animation and the visuals to be awesome considering their background. But as a game, it actually is a really good game, and so we see stuff like Stellar Blade, China Hero Project. They're working on potentially working in India and more in South Korea, working with developers to bring their games to the world stage. In a way, I feel like they probably will continue doing what they've been doing, but a lot of what they've been doing is just basically finding developers that their competition didn't even know were really out there. And so I think they'll just keep doing that, and we'll still see like stuff like this year where they'll have some games that are exclusive to the PlayStation platform, and those games will try to fill in the gaps when their first party isn't dropping anything, So I think that will end up being the case for the most part. What about you, Luca? What do you think about Kingdom Bridge of Spirits coming to Xbox, and is PlayStation going to keep up the same strategy that you have with timed exclusives?
I think it depends on was it a new C is it a CEO? What was Jim Ryan? President?
He was CEO of PlayStation of SIE, of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and now there's co-CEOs. Herman Holst is CEO of Games, and forgive me, I forgot the other guy's name, but he is now the CEO of Hardware.
Okay. Yeah, I think it depends on where they want to go and what their strategy is. And also, I think it depends, considering how expensive making games is right now. Because I don't know why they're just these budgets are just so overinflated. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I think it depends on whether or not even studios would want to go the route where they would take a deal with Sony, especially since I think what was it, Square Enix came out and were like, oh, we can't do that again. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right,
Right.
I don't know if they're gonna continue making those kinds of deals, if there are any studios that even want to make them, the deals that is. There are already games that skip Xbox, so that's like a given,
right.
it's already happening. So, and what was the other question?
No,
Um, uh,
go ahead.
no, no, you answered all the questions really.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
That
you
was it.
answered them pretty
Yeah.
much. I just find it interesting because knowing that the direction that, like, is it going to really, at a certain point, do you really have to do the second party, third party exclusives, knowing that Xbox really isn't partaking in that type of strategy anymore when it comes to their games. But then again, I guess you kind of still want to fail safe yourself just in case that changes in the future, because the one thing about $1 trillion companies, money's no object. So if they want to change on a dime and start making a completely, moving a completely different direction, they can do that. So I guess maybe you still want to keep those relationships in place, foster that same standard that you had ever since basically PlayStation 2, and continue to keep moving in that direction. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is the situation we go into. You got anything else you want to say, Slomo?
No, man, that's it. If you're on Xbox and you don't own a PlayStation or a PC and you've never played Kane or Bridge of Spirits, look it up, give it a shot. It's a really good game, And I think if you want to see more games like this come to your platform and not miss your platform and not have to wait 2 years later, if you're interested in the game and you haven't played it yet, you should probably buy it, because that's how you signal to the
Well,
market
that's
that
yeah.
there are people on your platform that will play it.
Yep, and this game of all games is going to be one that you guys definitely want. I mean, and like I said, don't like he said, don't support it and buy it if you don't like the game or you were never even interested on the game, because you know there is a lot of that out there where people talk a big talk like, oh man, you know, once again another game skipping Xbox. I was really interested in that. I don't have a PlayStation, and I'll buy it when it comes on Xbox, and I'll wait. Now this is your opportunity, but then I don't want to hear that same scenario because this is a game that's not inside the Game Pass, but you have to buy it. So this is a game that really shows that hey, there are people that aren't just hey, I'm gonna wait for it to hit Game Pass type gamers. You know, I there's nothing wrong with waiting for a game to hit Game Pass, but if you're truly interested in the game, buy the game. Don't wait. Don't try to wait for their sales, you know, or anything like that. Because at this point, we're trying to show a we're trying to show Xbox and Microsoft that there are people, or even, or mostly just developers in general, because that's the ones that are looking at these numbers the most. You know, how viable is it to put a game for full price on Xbox, or just on Xbox for buy in general? Because Xbox has done such a amazing job of basically telling people that your games are basically all inside of a subscription service that you only pay monthly for, where that doesn't work for every developer. Some developers need that capital up front outside of what Microsoft gives them. So if it's the game you're interested in, definitely go out and support it. And all that stuff. But with that being said, let's move over to the next topic. Dragon Age Veilguard is the name of the new Dragon Age game. And Dreadwolf was the original name of the game. It's interesting. I mean, this game has went through so many multifaceted changes before we even seen real gameplay. We went through a name change, you know, 2 or 3 different logo reveals of the game. So it's like kind of ridiculous at this point where EA and BioWare are with it at this point. Luca, so when you saw that the new name of the game was Veilguard, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you're thinking about Dragon Age in the state that it is in at this moment?
I'll be honest with you, I don't think much, man. They have disappointed me so many times at this point where I'm just like, all right, well, whatever. This game's probably gonna be trash. If it's not, that would be great. Like if it has a fantastic, interesting, engaging story like BioWare is used to tell, then I'll be all for it, right? But like if not, then all right, well, whatever, you know?
Yeah, I kind of agree, and I feel bad because I love the Dragon Age series. Like Dragon Age Origins is one of my favorite games of all time. A lot of people hate on Dragon Age 2, but I like that game as well. Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year in 2014. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed it, and I just like all the Dragon Age games I have been there for. Even Awakenings, which was the expansion for Dragon Age Origins, and I thought that was fantastic. 15 hours of amazing content for like $10. You know, you never see that anymore. You know,
Mhm.
and I just the way things have gone with BioWare is just I can't, when your last 2 games were misses, you no longer are, it can be kind of considered like that. Oh, you know, like it's guarantee a hit. There's some studios where you just kind of just know they're making something. All right, that's gonna be good.
Right.
You just know it. You just know it. But like BioWare used to be that kind of studio, and they're not anymore. And so when I know what I know about this game, where the game has been in, it's been rebooted before. They've completely changed the focus of the game multiple times. They had it before at one point where it was going to be multiplayer focused. a Dragon Age game, multiplayer focused. Like, what this? What
Not
the
just
hell
an
am I
add-on
doing?
part, the
Yeah,
add-on
you
focus
know,
on the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then they stripped that out, and it's just there's so much going on where Bioware used to have an identity as a developer that they just don't have anymore. Like, people don't really know who they are, and
They don't even know
with
who they are.
all, yeah, and I kind of, I'm at two minds with it because I long for the old school Bioware of who they used to be, but I gotta be real, and that's not who they are anymore. They don't even have that same talent. Like, the majority of the people who made those fantastic games that I love so much don't even work there anymore. They got their own studios. Yellow Brick Games, Archetype Entertainment, like they got their own studios that they're making to try to recapture that same kind of vibe with the gaming community that they did at BioWare. What I just hope what BioWare does now is kind of chart their own path. You're not who you once were, and you're not, and it's probably way too much pressure to expect brand new developers to come in and live up to expectations and nostalgia and hype that previous developers had created anyway. I just kind of hope they just do that with brand new IP. They ain't got nothing to do with the stuff that, like, I love. Because what I've seen in the very small snippets of gameplay of Veilguard now, I hate that name.
I was gonna say, is there any significance to that? What's the significance of that in the game?
I don't know.
Or is it something probably brand new to this game, basically?
I think it's something probably brand new to this game. I mean, like, that there is, okay, so there's the veil, as in, like, there's this other world, and it's almost like a dream dimension or something in Dragon Age, where there is mages are very sensitive to it. You could kind of go there if you have enough magic, or a mage can kind of like transport you there. Kind of, it's like a whole, people who are dead are there, spirits are there, demons that are there. They can possess people, that kind of thing. What Veilguard is, I have no idea. I mean, some of the things that are being coming out and said about it is that you'll be protecting the Veil and taking down a new evil threat unleashed upon Thetis, but it's just like, you already kind of ended Inquisition on somewhat of a cliffhanger with Solus and Dreadwolf, who is Dreadwolf basically, and he's still in this game, but they're saying there's going to be another villain that's a focus, and it's just like, it just seems like y'all doing too much,
Right.
and it seems like there's different writers who had different ideas of where they should go with it, and usually when you see movies that pack too many villains, too many subplots, and it just really kind of loses the main plot, I'm not down with that. And I know I'm saying a lot of stuff. I haven't seen the game. They're going to show us 15 minutes of gameplay on June 11th, and I hope it looks good, because I want it to look good. But do I think it will? Not really. Because I just don't have, like, to break it down. I don't have faith in this game because the lead director for all the other games doesn't even work at BioWare anymore. The lead writer for all the other games for Dragon Age doesn't work at BioWare anymore. The second in command director, Mark Dara, doesn't work there anymore. And he was director over this game. And then some people say he was fired. Some people say he left. No one knows. But then his very abrupt exit has him come back years later to, quote unquote, make sure the game feels like Dragon Age. Like, wait a minute, why you gotta bring an old ex-employee who left on bad terms back to make sure your game feels like Dragon Age? That tells me just don't even. It's not even remotely like a Dragon Age game. So we'll see what happens. But I have never been less enthused over any of their new entries coming in. You know, I had high hopes for Andromeda and was disappointed, and I had high hopes for Anthem and was disappointed, and now I can't be disappointed again when I just don't have confidence that you're going to deliver.
So
Yep.
yeah, I'm with y'all, and I know I've always been on the Mass Effect side of it. I've never really got into the Dragon Age side like you guys did. But living vicariously through you guys, listening to all of the different announcements of, and the funny thing is Dragon Age has been more relevant lately due to the fact that they've been talking about this game so much, but it's been little updates here and there. Like I said, logo reveal this, logo reveal that. So it's like they're
Oh,
dangling
so
All
this
annoying.
the
carrot.
teaser trailers. They did like 2, 3
Yeah.
teaser trailers. One teaser trailer. Then you show gameplay after that. Like that needs to be the cadence. You don't keep doing teaser trailers that don't even give you a hint of how the game's gonna look. Like, nah, fam. To give it its due, I do want to like speak on the actual like details of what they say the game is, because I don't just want to just sound like I'm poo-pooing the game and not giving it a shot. But it does. I mentioned before, it says 15 minutes of gameplay premiere on June 11th. 7 unique companions with deep and compelling storylines. The new title better reflects the story's group of companions. Soulless, i.e., Dreadwolf, still plays a big role. Players will take on the role of an original protagonist similar to the Warden from Origins, Hawk from Dragon Age 2, and the Inquisitor from Inquisition. You and your companions make up the Veilguard, protecting the Veil and taking down a new evil threat. Player agency is very important. They've created a story where you can impact the world and companions around you. Each companion is intended to represent different factions in the game, have their own arcs with stories of love and loss, each with meaningful choices and emotional moments. So that sounds like you'll have, that's no different than what we've had in Dragon Age before. You would have everybody in your party would be of a different like thing, like Templars or a mage or a Grey Warden, stuff like that. So it's the same. Anyway, players will visit more regions of the world Thetis across a deeper variety of biomes than any Dragon Age before it. And combat was a big focus for the team. Will feature an ability wheel that you can use to pause, designed to give players more direct control over their character. But players can only bring 2 other companions along with them, similar to Mass Effect. If you got less companions with you, all right, whatever. So.
You don't know what to think about it.
I just don't. I that last part, like I'm trying to hide my my disdain for that, because it's just like people look at Bioware games that think Dragon Age and is no different than Mass Effect. Just one is fantasy based and the other is science fiction based, and that couldn't be further from the truth. They're very different. They may have the same like narrative wheel and narrative dialogue trees where you can, go be evil or good or whatever, and have a lot of, but that's like that blueprint of how BioWare and as well as Obsidian do their narrative trees is very much a staple of all their games. Outside of that, those are the only similarities those 2 series have. BioWare, Dragon Age has always had a different combat system for every game. The combat system, you could say, very much kind of fits the theme of the kind of game that it will be. And BioWare's combat, I keep saying BioWare, Mass Effect's combat has always been cover shooting that just got steadily better after each release. but it's been the same kind of combat. Like it's just seeing them do the whole you're only bringing two companions along with you like Mass Effect just makes me feel like, yeah, you just don't really understand what Dragon Age is supposed to be about, and you're making the game.
Right. Yeah, I get it. I do you and this is a good talking point before we move to the next thing. Do we think that studios, we understand that IPs have value. Dragon Age as an IP has a value. Mass Effect as an IP has value. Even
Hmm.
Halo, all of these games. Do we think that we need to get to a point where these publishers, they know what the long term plan? Like, let's talk about Xbox.
Hmm.
Xbox has a lot of games that's in their coffers that more than likely probably won't see the light of day ever again. Um, do we think this it needs to be kind of a future where some of these publishers need to start looking at their back catalog of IPs and figuring out what kind of value those actually have only to them, but maybe moving those on to somebody else, or selling the
You
rights
mean
off
like
to somebody else?
outsourcing,
Yeah,
out
yeah,
like
outsourcing it
outsourcing?
or something. Somebody, because it's like I feel like Dragon Age, it was very unique and rare for a studio like BioWare to have simultaneously two IPs that were up that were hitting on all cylinders like it was with Mass Effect and
Dragon
and
Age.
Dragon Age. Like that's why BioWare was what BioWare was. And we're not even talking about going all the way back to like, Star Wars and the games that they made when it came to that. We're just talking about just the recent stuff. So most studios don't even have a pedigree that strong to say that we created these two IPs and made them last over the course of almost an entire generation over multiple games and stuff. But do we think what are your thoughts on outsourcing this stuff going forward? Because it looks like a lot of these studios don't have the appetite to actually release them because once again, like Lucas said earlier, balloon prices inside of these games are going up. Maybe they don't have the appetite to see how it's gonna fare. How about we let other people try it out and see what they want to do when it comes to like making a game? Like if they outsource it out, let them be the ones that flip the bill to make the game, and then they get the rights for that individual game. It doesn't say you have to give them your rights for the IP, but let's see who else can do it. Because guess what? A lot of these studios, I mean, these publishers are just sitting on things that they may not see value in, but there are a lot of people clamoring for stuff like that. So what do you think about that, Slomo?
I agree. I think that if you instead of letting an IP just languish and collect dust and not be used and potentially losing the ability to capture the minds of gamers, because over time either people just kind of forget about it or they move on. Maybe their interest in games change, and the longer you go without putting a game for that IP out, the less likely you are to kind of continue to get capture the same minds and hearts of gamers that loved it before. If you don't have the resources yourself in house to develop those games and do it, then yeah, outsource that to someone else. Now, I'm not saying that like it's easy to find a studio that can live up to the same level of quality. But like take Dragon Age for example. I would have loved if EA would have outsourced it to one of the studios that are full of ex Bioware developers and allowed them to do their thing with it. Or shoot, even like Larian. Can you imagine Dragon Age being made by Larian Studios that did Baldur's Gate 3?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right.
that, I would have much preferred Larian take this on instead of having potentially Bioware screw it up, and let the current day Bioware make new IP that these new developers can develop and create a whole new culture of games for Bioware that aren't necessarily what people loved the studio for before. But if they're of high quality, then I can see people digging it, and giving it a shot. But for as far as the older IPs go, give that to someone that can actually do it justice. That's
Yeah,
my
I agree
thought
with
on it.
you. What about you, Luca? You got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, it just depends on, the studio that they choose.
They choose to be Suga said, I don't want no idiots messing around with my game.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. All right, cool. Moving on to the next topic. It's I guess after this one we can start transitioning over because we'll just keep the Xbox titles and topics together on the DPS channel.
Yeah, I'm actually working on it now. Yeah.
Cool. Destiny, the final shape impressions. Gonna be quick. I know Luca. Luca used to be my homie. She used to be my ace. She was my right hand.
Now, I was about to say. I thought you was about to say I thought you was about to say that now she's trying to slap the taste out your mouth. You know.
No, that would be slow mo. If slow mo was there.
No. You said
I was trying to figure out how I could tie it in, but it was like that would be slow mo trying to slap the taste of my mouth. Like wake up, Forte. It's only a dream. But yeah, Final Shape DLC released for Destiny. You know, I was talking to Slow Mo, we was talking to Cognito about it, and it's, you know, in my opinion, it's by far the best DLC they released to date. Of course, that all comes down to the raid that's tomorrow night. Because right now they have it basically time gated to the final mission that's going to take place to basically tell the whole story about the 10-year saga is locked behind a raid. So once somebody beats the raid, then the whole community can jump in and do those final couple of missions to see exactly what's going to happen after the fact. But just story wise, you could definitely tell inside the game that they needed the extra time to do what they did, because Lightfall, let me tell you, that was a disaster. Was it a decent DLC? It was decent, but it was just so convoluted. The story narrative didn't make sense. It was cool that they added, you know, the new abilities and stuff into the game. It, you know, Nimbus was a very forgettable character. It's like he was trying to be what K6 was to the whole franchise. And unfortunately, the one thing I want people to really, really think about, the one thing I realized the most playing this game, because everybody knows Cade is back in this one, and he's, you know, Nathan Fillion is playing Cade again. So the original voice actor. I didn't realize, like, I knew, like, and Luca can speak to this too, because she was playing during Forsaken when Cade was still in the game, and you know, just the overall appeal that he had as a character in the game, you know, like one of the most loved characters in the game. And a lot of people was like, okay, the game's going to be fine. He's not here anymore. He's died off, and we didn't have him for like 2 years. The first thing I thought of playing this game is I really wish they never would have made that decision, because the game just felt better. Like story wise, it felt better. The overall structure of the mission, not the missions, but just the overall conversation between NPCs, the stories that were happening between him and you know, Aldrin or Crow, who basically is the one that killed them, telling him to forget the past and move on to the future and everything. It's a completely different Cade, but we still get the same feelings we got as him being a Hunter Vanguard back in the, you know, when it was that before he got killed. So that really, really spoke to me. I didn't really know how they were going to implement bringing him back into the game, or if was it going to be like a short time. But he was pretty much back for the whole entire campaign, and he's still there for post-campaign stuff too. So I don't know if it just means he's back in general. He still doesn't have his ghost, so we know that he's, you know, can still die and, you know, all this other stuff and come back or whatever. But it's really cool to see where they're going with that. But I will say just the overall gameplay of it feels awesome. It feels like Destiny. It feels traditional. I think the 6 to 7 months that I took off from the game is really doing me well, because I don't feel burnt out going into this DLC. You know, I feel like it's a refreshing thing, and I also just feel like being the person that experienced what Lightfall was. It was like, yo, that could be a gift for the curse. I could be looking at it even more positive than it should be looked at, due to the fact that DLC was so underwhelming to an extent. So, And then we don't even get into the aspects of prismatic that they introduced into the game when it comes to the new subclass ability that merges your light and your darks together, which is really cool. Like you become some of the most OP stuff I've ever seen in a video game. Like you trivialize some content, like even higher tier content. Like I haven't done Grandmasters, but Legendary Campaign, being able to use those abilities inside of it, it was way better than it was in Lightfall, how they introduced it piece by piece inside of Lightfall when it came to the strand ability. They did an even better job introducing prismatic because you unlock the aspects in the aspects in the partial parts to the subclass as you were playing through it. You did some side quests to actually unlock it and stuff, which was really really cool. And I also think the environments look incredible. Like the skyboxes, all of that stuff just looks like it's like of quality, and I really really appreciate that. I mean, slow mo. You said for a second I'm gonna rope you into this. You did say for a millisecond you were thinking about picking this up.
Oh my gosh, I
You
should have
did. You
never said.
mentioned it, so I have to ask you what
Yeah.
what what would it take in order for you to do it?
Look, I know I like to play up this hate for Destiny. I really don't hate it as much as I'm just past it. You know how like when you played something for so long and you spend so much time in it that you just get tired of it and you just don't want to play it anymore. It's more of that than I hate the game, but I do kind of know, this is pretty much it for that game, and you kind of want to just like see how the story ends, and maybe I'll watch a Rab Brad. I don't think Rab Brad even plays this, but like I'll watch someone's playthrough of the campaign, and that'll be enough. Or maybe I feel like I'll need to actually do it myself. But as of right now, I had a millisecond of desire to go see how good it is, because we had a conversation, you, me, and shout out to Lord Cognito, who couldn't make it tonight. We were trying to get him on, but um the three of us were talking about it and just listening to the two of you. And I know the two of you are kind of crackheadish for Destiny, so there's a bit of exaggeration that I gotta like just take off the top there. But just listening to you guys talk about like how Keith David really filled in for Lance Riddick really well and kind of brought a different aspect to the character of Zavala that like wasn't there before, and how the two of y'all felt like this might be up there with like one of the best campaigns ever for them, and that's Destiny 1 and 2. And I'm like, oh, better than Witch Queen? Better than Forsaken? And just like, okay, well, maybe I will one day go back to it and do it. But then then I think about, well, if I mean, I know they don't sunset the stuff no more, but just like how much longer can I go without playing it before you just really kind of hinder? It's not the same experience that everyone else is dealing with now, So I
Right.
don't know. It's kind of I'm pretty much on the fence with it, but I'm leaning towards just letting it stay in the past.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
I get it. It's like so
No,
late into the. Oh, go
Luke
ahead.
was about to say something.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Luca.
oh no, you're fine. I was
Go
just
ahead.
like wondering, why do you keep trying to get this man to come back and play this game?
Well, no, I just brought it up because he mentioned he actually
You should have
said
just
it to
ignored
me
him when he said
incognito
it.
last night.
Nah, you should have just ignored him when he said it. I'm like,
I just
oh, okay,
ignored
okay,
him.
Zlomo, and just kept it moving. This guy he'll come back, he'll play, and then as he's playing, why do they do it like this? I really hate that they do this and this and this and this and this. It's just like, oh, brother. And then he just starts complaining about stuff that he was complaining about before. And he's like, okay, like why? I don't even know why he does this to himself. I would have just ignored him personally. That's just me.
I don't do this to myself at all because I don't come back. That was years ago. I don't. I
I'm
don't.
glad.
I don't.
I'm glad you don't come back.
Yeah. So the map, so this is the new destination map that we're running around on right now, which is called the Pale Heart. They actually brought back the old tower, so the old tower is the new landing point for it, which is really really cool. I'm running my melee build, which is with Liar's Handshake. So every time I get, it's like 722% extra damage on this class. And the cool thing is, like you just see me throwing Silence and Swalls out, which is the stasis ability, which is really cool. And the one thing I really let me did I actually take that out before it comes back. But the cool thing about this is, and I wanted to pull it up, is the customization that they brought to Prismatic is really cool. So like you have your Prismatic class, which is one class in general. Then you have over here all your other classes, which is your Night Stalker, and then you can click on that and it can pull up all your other light classes over to the side. So the cool thing about Prismatic, you got your Transcendent, which is the ability to basically merge all of those abilities together, which gives you a Hellfire Spike Grenade, which when you throw it, does solar and stasis damage to the target, which does massive. It's basically like a spike grenade that you just stick to people, and it does massive damage to people. And then you have access to all of your dodges, same thing, all of your jumps you get, but you get blink on this one. You can switch between combination blow, threaded spike. So all of your different abilities, like the major ones from all of your subclasses, you can add it to this one. So like on this build, I'm running, Gambler's Dodge, so I can dodge next to somebody, get melee energy fully recharged next to an enemy. I run triple jump because hunters like to jump a lot. Combination blow mirrors that, so every time I melee somebody, I get 200% extra damage to them, and then when I dodge next to somebody, it refunds that back, so I can keep stacking that damage. And then I have swarm grenades, which I actually had the thread ripper, or you could throw withering blade on. So it's really cool, the customization that they allow you to do in this, on top of all the different aspects and stuff. And then you have the different fragments that you can add to the game. So this is the game that I think they wanted to make last year that they couldn't because the game just wasn't ready. Part of me is just upset at them that they should have just made us wait another year with seasonal content. It just said Lightfall isn't going to happen, because I do think Lightfall did a huge disdain. It put a huge disdain on the game. It basically damaged the franchise to an extent. Now, did it damage to the point where I think people wouldn't come back and play it? As we see, right now, there's 250,000 people playing the game on Steam. We don't have console numbers, but 250,000 people playing on Steam right now, which is down from 350 from yesterday. I think it's going to peak again tomorrow due to the raid, because everybody's going to jump in for the raid. I'm really interested to see what the fall off is going to be after that, because that's pretty much the end of the 10-year journey for a lot of people. Like, even for myself, I don't know how much I'm going to play after that. It really just depends on what they bring to the table and what the offerings look like. But, perfect example, they brought back some of our best weapons, like Mountaintop. I crafted one from last season. It has all the same perks, but you can get enhancement perks on it now, and new perks that never were available on the gun before. And then I have my lovely Ludus Howl that can heal myself when I kill somebody, but it also has incandescent on it. And so there's a lot of build crafting, a lot of things you could do in the game now. I just wish that this was something that was done way earlier to make people, play the game like a year ago more, versus throwing all your eggs in one basket at the end. But who knows? That could be the direction that Bungie wants people to go in, because we know Marathon is a 2025 game. They did say it's not coming out this year. So we don't know what's going to happen with that when it comes to the development. But we also know that Luke Smith came out and said that, hey, there will still be more content for Destiny. But I think a lot of people at this point are just going to take a wait and see approach when it comes to that. But the one thing I will ask, I already know Lucas Slomo's point. I will ask Luca this. Luca, are you completely and utterly never gonna, if the game goes on sale, you can get the DLC and just go through the campaigns and finish them out just to see what the story looks like? Would you ever come back in just to see that portion of it, not to really dedicate yourself to the game again, but just to see what the overall content looks like when it comes to the single player again, if it goes on sale?
Maybe. I'm just not interested right now.
Right.
I just don't. I don't have any interest in most games, to be honest. I'm
No,
just
I
not in the
get you.
gaming space. And I left on a high note personally.
You
Like I
did.
left for Witch Queen, and Witch Queen was amazing. That it was great. But I got pretty bored really quickly right after the fact, you know? And I think when did Elden Ring come out? What month was that?
Elden
It
Ring
came out,
came out. It was early in the year. It was like a February or March,
yeah,
something like that.
February. It's like February
So
17th or something like that.
yeah, so Destiny came out, right? And then
Yep.
Elden Ring came out like
Oh
right
yeah, that's right.
after
They
that.
came out 3 days apart from each other. You're
Mhm.
right.
So, like, I hopped in there, I was playing with, the OG, I was playing with, Taz, I was playing with Death Singer because I don't know where you were,
I
Nautical,
was at
but
work that day. Yeah.
oh, okay. But yeah, I was like, we God, it was so amazing. 13 hours just playing the game. I bought, like, snacks and everything. I'd worked out the day before to make sure, like, I was actually getting, like, active before, because I just sat there, my hands were aching by the end, but it was so worth it, and amazing experience for me. And then right after that, I got on Elden Ring, and then I have not been back to Destiny. So I just don't have
Right.
any interest in going back personally. Maybe I'll check out some videos and gameplay because I haven't seen anything. And if what I see is interesting enough, maybe I'll come back. But it's not anytime soon. It's not even a money thing. You already know I don't have problems
Oh, I know.
spending
I know
money on
you don't have no
Destiny.
problem. Yeah, I know you have no
Um,
problems. You spend more
God,
money on
like
Destiny than most people.
yeah, I know it's so bad. Like, but yeah, so I don't know. But on that note, guys, I do have to go.
All right. We appreciate you
Understood.
sticking around.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming through, Luca. Let everyone know where they can find you if they don't already know.
yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the Ashen Luca. You can find me on YouTube, the Ashen Luca. I run a show on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern. But the show will be tomorrow at 7.
Uh-oh. Sniped her out while she was in the middle of her outro.
She got sniped.
If she can't make it back in to complete her sentence, the show will be tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That Lucas got some things to handle on the normal time on Saturday, so it'll be a special time this Friday. So come check us out on Friday if you can make it. We would love to have you. It's going to be a good time. I'll be there. I don't know if Forte will be able to make it
Nope,
or
I'll be
not,
there
but
too because it's
we'll be
tomorrow
there
and
too.
not Saturday.
Cool. And the other co-host, Def Singer, will be there as well. And so it'll be a great. Here she is. I finished up for you. Didn't know you were going to be
Oh,
able to make it back.
brother, this is what I'm talking about. Anyway, thank you for having. I had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed me here as well.
Always.
Oh my lord. Okay. Anyway, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.
All
All
right.
right.
We see you tomorrow,
Later,
Luca.
Luca.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Are we ready for the Xbox prediction
Yeah, we're
topic,
ready.
Forte? Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and start the stream. The DPS channel. And for those who aren't aware, this is where we transition and redirect everyone over to the DPS podcast channel. We are T minus just a number of weeks before we will start basically just having the podcast on the channel exclusively. So that time is coming pretty soon. But as soon as Forte is ready, we're going to switch over, and what I'll do is I will put the podcast in the chat so that the link in the chat so that you guys can be able to jump over there manually if you want to, and if you're watching the replay and you look at the chat, you'll see the link to the rest of the podcast there.
Right. So see that. Edit. Redirect. There it is. Save. All right, and I am sending people over now.